Hey guys, I'm on with Jeff Jacobson again. We were not able to join up with you yesterday, so we have more time today to kind of answer any questions that you may have related to your unemployment experience and helping to answer and navigate through that process. I'm joined by Jeff Jacobson, who I'm going to pop up right now. Jeff Jacobson again. And Jeff, you said there were some new developments you wanted to speak about. Please do share.
Yeah. So thanks, everyone. There's a couple things that have just come out. So last week, 3 million people filed for unemployment according to the Department of Labor, which brings the total of people on unemployment at 36.5 million people nationwide. That brings the percentage of people that are unemployed at 22.4% of the March labor force. New claims are down for the 8th week in a row, which is, according to the economists, good. And I don't know how the PUA is going to impact this. Kentucky has the largest percentage of labor force unemployed at 36.2% of their labor force is on unemployment benefits. Bear in mind, these numbers don't take into consideration people that are unemployed and have given up, that aren't collecting benefits or haven't filed for unemployment benefits. So these are just people that have filed and or unemployment. Goldman Sachs is estimating that 25% of the nation is going to be unemployed, which will be the greatest. The stats on monthly unemployment started in 1948. Prior to that was an annual basis. So when they talk about the recession, they talk on an annual basis, the numbers, and try to estimate what a monthly number would be like. Last week, according to the statistics, 842,000 people in 29 states filed for the PUA. And as you know, Illinois just started the PUA, so we probably don't have accurate numbers now. I don't know all the states that actually have been implementing the PUA, and if there's any other states that are still trying to get started. But so there's almost 1 million now that are on PUA. And there's 3.4 million Americans across 23 states that are getting PUA. So it's interesting. And there's a lot going on. There's the Wisconsin Supreme Court decision yesterday on striking the order, the stay-at-home order. I don't know if you saw that, Raza.
Yes, I certainly did. And so currently, Wisconsin, as of the date that they put, will have to be open for business. Is that correct? Is there a temporary stay on the governor's orders, or how exactly will that play out?
So there's a temporary stay, although I've been reading today that a lot of bars and restaurants had opened up. Interestingly, while they struck down the the department's order to stay at home, they didn't strike down the part of it that has stay at home for schools. And there's no explanation why they skipped that and didn't strike that. So there are apparently yesterday a whole bunch of bars and restaurants have opened up. I've seen pictures where the bars have plenty of people in there. No one's wearing masks, although the article talks about the picture, one of the pictures where it says the employees are wearing masks and gloves. For the picture, they weren't. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in Wisconsin. It sounds like a little of it is politics. The Wisconsin Supreme Court apparently voted based on political affiliation, the majority being Republican, and we'll see what happens. The legislature said they wanted to be involved in it, and as we know, legislatures move a lot slower than an individual like a governor or a department head. So, and we'll see how many people go to Wisconsin from Illinois and other states now to enjoy a beverage or food. And unfortunately, Wisconsin's going to be one of the nearby guinea pigs for whether getting back is good or not. I hope everyone stays safe in Wisconsin, and I hope that we're wrong and socializing without masks and, not keeping a distance is okay. But all the scientists are saying that's not the case.
Well, we'll have to see, like you said, what the economic impact is, as well as the health and wellness impact. There should be, I know in Illinois, there's the weekly report of unemployment filings. I imagine Wisconsin would have something similar where comparisons can be made as to how unemployment's changing with the reopening. Is that correct to your understanding?
Right. So if there is no longer a stay at home, I don't know what the rulings are going to be on unemployment. So right now in states like Illinois, where we have a stay-at-home order, you're allowed to stay at home and collect unemployment benefits. If you have a fear of contracting COVID-19 or you're likely to get COVID-19, you're entitled to unemployment benefits. There's a whole new definition. Being able and available and for work in Illinois now because of the order, if you have to stay at home because of COVID-19, you're still able and available for work. You are, on the certification, you don't put down you're unable to work for 5 days. You put down you're unable to work for 0 days. So now that the order has been lifted in Wisconsin, although it's there's a stay on it for, I think it's 6 days. I don't know if those people will be entitled to unemployment benefits if they go back to work. I don't know if they're now going to either have to decide between going back to work or being fired. I don't know what the employers are going to do. That's the huge one. I do know a lot of bars and restaurants said they weren't opening in Wisconsin. So those people would still be entitled to benefits, but I don't know if, a Tesla operation, Elon Musk, who's been fighting the stay-at-home order, will force the employees to go back to work. I don't know food processing facilities, so it'll be interesting. It's I have no say in it. I have no control over Wisconsin. So the data is going to be interesting for the rest of the nation.
Absolutely. And just a quick reminder, I know a lot of people have regularly tuned in. If you're a new viewer to this, this is a segment where Sara Sadat, who's not here today, and myself and Jeff Jacobson discuss any questions pertinent to unemployment filing, and we're going to be talking about appeals process and any kind of questions people have regarding that. You can follow us along. We answer a lot of questions that are posted on the Illinois and Indiana unemployment group, although we're also on a few other groups. And what we're efforting to do is answer questions that people may have regarding the unemployment situation, how to get through with I've heard less about the websites crashing. I know when we first started close to what was it, 6-7 weeks ago at this point, maybe even about 7 weeks ago, that was our biggest concern that we were hearing, was that websites were continuously crashing. People weren't even having the opportunity to file what they needed to. We were advising people to back up their work often. I know you put some paperwork on your website as well. How's it kind of changed? What are some of the concerns we're hearing now as opposed to what we were hearing then? Oh, and just one other thing to our viewers. You can, any questions you have, you can write down your comment and we'll read it and have Jeff answer those questions for you. You can also click on the link, which would allow us then to put you on the air here and then have you ask your question directly to Jeff. You can do that with or without video. So if you feel more comfortable just asking via verbal cue, we're more than set up to do that as well. So looks like Jeff is getting ready right here, but yeah, if you have any questions on any of the sites you're asking, make sure to comment and we will get to it right away. And I'm sorry, Jeff, you were saying before I interrupted?
No problem, Raza. So the website isn't getting hit with as many new applications. Like we were just talking in the numbers, 36.5 million people nationwide filed for unemployment, and it looks like 3.4 million applied for PUA. So there's not many people that are applying first time for unemployment on the website, and it's a smaller percentage of those that are applying for the PUA. I don't have the numbers now. So that's part of it, and the governor has increased and improved the software and the throughput. So I don't anticipate we're going to have internet problems. We still have the phone call problems. We still have a communication problem, people not understanding what to do, how to do it, why to do it. That seems to be the biggest. And despite some of the people on the Illinois and Indiana unemployment group posting, the message is not getting out that in Illinois you certify every 2 weeks, not every week. It's every other week. You'll get the date that you certify every other week. One of the things is if you miss that, you have Thursday and Friday to file. If you miss certifying, unemployment's going to stop. You're going to have to call in, and hopefully then they'll reset it so you can certify. If they won't, then you're going to have to file an appeal. If the certification's critical, got to do it every 2 weeks. So hopefully people see and hear those comments. It's every 2 weeks in Illinois. You don't get your benefits until you certify. Come sometime after certifying. Supposed to be 2 to 3 days, but when this first started, I think it was 2 weeks. Hopefully it'll eventually get down to 2 to 3 days after you certify, you get your benefits.
We were hearing that quite a bit, that some people thought that it was once a week that they were supposed to certify. And when they did, they were getting an error message that the certification had gone through. So that's very important for people to know that it's a 2-week process. And another gotcha that we've kind of been advising people is to put that they are available to work 5 days a week, because even though they may be under a stay-at-home order, they would technically still be able to work from home. And so that's the question that a lot of people were answering incorrectly and causing a fair amount of problems. Just to recap something we've talked about in earlier discussions, Jeff, you had also said that if you had a problem with certification, don't recertify under another number. Resolve that problem, because that was creating more issues that we had gotten questions about how people could undo that process and what they should do.
Right. Too many people, when they get frustrated with what's going on, they just think they're going to file a new claim. But there's problems with filing new claims. That's not the solution. So please don't file a new claim if you have a problem. First, contact the IDS on the 800 number. Try to get it solved then. If you can't get it solved, you have to file an appeal within 30 days. So, for example, if you missed your certification, if you were unable to do it and they can't reset it, you file an appeal. There's people that are also, their benefit period's about to end. Under the federal law, that got extended. So there's nothing they should have to do to continue receiving benefits. It should be automatic with the state. If not, you need to contact the state to get that resolved. But filing a new claim is not going to solve your problem. It's just going to create more problems. So yeah, it's that for a lot of people, it seems to make sense to file a new claim, but that means that they just recently got severed from employment. It's a new employment, and that's the whole problem.
Absolutely. Again, just to remind you, if you have any questions, comment what your question is. We'll be able to answer those. Or you're also more than welcome to click the link. We can pop you up here either with or without video, so you can get your specific questions answered with Jeff Jacobson today. Jeff, is there anything else in general that you think that you should share? And I know I personally have had a lot of questions about gig workers and 1099s. Being eligible to file in Illinois. If you could kind of walk through some of the process. I know, was it last week you were saying that, or was it this week that you are encouraged, even if denied, to file just to get into the system?
Right. So Illinois has implemented Monday morning the pandemic assistance. So they, for those that are not eligible for normal unemployment insurance, they should be filing under the PUA. They can file that. It looks like it's a little easier now than it was Monday morning. You go to the IDS website, just select file a claim. They want you to file a claim, a normal claim initially, and get rejected, which will take time, and then file a new claim or an existing claim for a PUA. And everyone that is not a W-2 wage earner is entitled to the PUA. So if you're a gig worker that's not a W-2, if you're an independent contractor, sole proprietor, whatever you are, if your benefits have expired, if you're not eligible for normal unemployment insurance, then you should be filing for the PUA. If your unemployment insurance expired before 5/29 and it's not getting extended, you should file for the PUA. And I believe that ends July 25th, those benefits. Although, as Raza, Congress is now looking for a fourth bill to protect those that are unemployed. So that covers it. Gig workers, I'm not sure why there's that new definition, but you're either a W-2 or you're not. So if you have a job and it lasts one day and you're not brought back, then you're terminated or laid off from that job. You're entitled to benefits under the statute. So file for the PUA, same process then. Local office is going to make a determination. If you don't like the determination because it's wrong, you can file an appeal. If you don't like the appeal decision because it's wrong, you can file a appeal to the Board of Review. If you don't like that decision because it's wrong, you can then file an administrative law review case and argue it there. And it's depending upon how wrong. This is all new law, so it's hard to give people advice on what inevitably is going to happen. And it'll be different from state to state.
All right. We actually are hearing some things regarding the adjudication, not necessarily for the 1099s, but Chad asks, "Hi guys, I'm in a tough spot as are most of us. Applied for unemployment insurance in March 29th and was put on the back burner to wait for adjudication interview because I switched jobs in January. I was just going to see if anyone here was assigned to wait for adjudication as well. And if so, how long does it take to receive information about or schedule an interview? I know the IDS offices are pretty busy right now, but it feels like my account has been lost in the shuffle." Is this something, Jeff, that you've heard quite a bit? I know we were hearing about backlogs and various elements of this process, but what could you tell Chad here?
So, Chad, let me tell you how the process works. Although the end results is I would contact the IDS to find out what's going on and if you were lost in the shuffle. So when you file for unemployment, you're supposed to be on unemployment right away. And then someone at the local office will look at your case and determine whether you're eligible or not eligible for benefits. It's supposed to happen rather quickly, not months, but days. and then the local office will issue a local office determination, which is going to be a determination by the local office that you're eligible for benefits. So that, if you're not getting that, that's a problem. The phone interview should happen relatively quickly. That being said, you need to still certify, and if you're given a certification date. So you need to go online or call the teleserve on your date of certification. But I would find out why the local office is having an interview. It may be for a slew of reasons, and if they're right and you get denied, you need to immediately file for the PUA. For example, they may be interviewing you because it appears you've not had any W-2 jobs in the last 5 quarters, so you don't have wages, or there's actually almost an infinite number of reasons why they want to interview you. But yes, so those are 2 things. So one is call the local office and find out what's happening. And for those that are calling, it is not, you don't get through based on how many times you've called. Some people could probably get through the first time they ever called. Some people it's taken 200-300 times. It's just when there's an open slot on the telephone line, you fill it. So try 7:30 in the morning, try during the day, try 5 p.m. I don't anticipate the number of people that are going to call Raza is going to go down anytime in the near future.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. We are hearing more and more companies. We've heard some more announcements about unemployment coming up to more and more people. So it's unfortunate. And as a matter of fact, coming up on future projections, Matt asks, I will be furloughed on June 1st. Can I start my unemployment application early, or must I start on June 1st? Apologizes if this was already posted, but again, we are efforting to get the information out there because we have kind of, unfortunately, a unique audience every day because there's so many questions coming in. So yeah, anything you can say about if he can start his process of unemployment early because of an expected furlough coming up?
No, you can't. It asks you when you apply what your last day to work is, and you can't put in a future date. So you have to wait till you've been furloughed. If the employer tells you the last day to work is Friday and they're going to furlough you on Monday, your last day of work is Friday. So I would file, as you probably remember several weeks ago, maybe a month ago, where I talked about you need to file on Sunday. I'm emphasizing that now again because eventually they're going to stop with making unemployment retroactive, and it may be now. So, I caution you to file on Saturday if you're told Friday's your last day of work. And the reason I mention this, I just had someone contact me yesterday. Friday was their last day of work for a whole bunch of employees, and they're being told that Monday they're going to be furloughed. So their last pay will be for Friday. But they're not going to be officially told not to come back to work till Monday. In my opinion, they've already been told that last Friday is their last day. So, I suggested after they leave work on Friday all the way through Saturday, any of that time, they need to file for unemployment benefits because then it goes back to the previous Sunday and starts that. Just in case they eventually pull the waiting period waiver. So right now, as you probably remember, Raza, when you file, it goes back to the date you were severed from employment to receive benefits, although it'll start the previous Sunday. That's not the actual rule. That's just for COVID-19. The actual rule is when you file is when your unemployment benefits start. There's a 1-week waiting period for unemployment benefits where you don't receive anything that week, and then you certify for the next 2 weeks. So I'm being a little cautious now because we're getting probably close to the point where that may be pulled.
So actually speaking to that, because that wasn't something I completely understood, with unemployment currently being retroactive, is that something that's specific to the pandemic? Is that only in the state of Illinois, or are other states doing that as well?
So a lot of other states have a waiting period. This is what the normal rules and regs are. So when you file for unemployment, and we'll go to the prior to COVID-19, when you file for unemployment benefits, the date you file is when it starts, when you're entitled to start receiving benefits. There's a 1 week waiting period. So for the first week of being unemployed, you don't receive any benefits for that. Then you'll receive benefits for the next 2 weeks, but you don't receive that check or the deposit until you call and certify, which is after those 2 weeks have expired. The date that you call in determines when your date starts. It always starts on a Sunday. So if you call in any day of the week, it goes back to the previous Sunday. If you call in on a Sunday, it starts on that day. So that's why if you file, and this is just the normal procedures, if you file on a Friday, it starts on the previous Sunday. So that'll be your waiting week where you don't receive any benefits, and then it'll start the next Sunday or 2 days later. If you wait till Monday to file, it then goes back to the previous Sunday, which is just the day before, and you have almost another waiting period. Right now, during the COVID-19, the federal law, the CARES Act, had put pressure on states to eliminate the waiting period. And so Illinois has eliminated the waiting period for the COVID-19. So you have no waiting period. And when you file, because of the problems with filing online, it now goes to the date that you were first severed from work, not the date you file. But once again, I anticipate that's eventually and shortly going to be eliminated, those additional features.
Thanks for going over that. I know that we've specifically been talking to people from various places, but we did have a question from Michigan that said, have we answered questions from Michigan, which we have in the past. We've also taken questions from Texas, California, along with the crux from Illinois and Indiana. And again, just go over for our new listeners how that works, because although you were a former appeal judge with the Illinois Department of Employment and Security, as we discussed before, there's federal guidelines that discuss how this goes, which are very similar throughout the states, which is why we've been able to provide at least general guidance to people from these other states. And actually, I would be remiss if I didn't point out, in the comment sections, we often see people who have dealt with some of these questions answer questions for people. So we've been engaging and fostering a dialogue. We've seen that with the subset for people from Michigan. Indiana, I know you have a little bit more expertise because we've been talking more to them. And of course, Illinois is where you have your full credential of working. So kind of go over some of how the federal similarities play out throughout all the states that we've been taking questions from.
So most of it is consistent throughout the states. The actual Unemployment Act is created by the Social Security Act. It's a federal law, and that's how it gets funded and directed to be funded. So a lot of the states, the due process, the procedures are all the same. The calculations on the unemployment benefits aren't the same from state to state. Some, as I pointed out, some states have a 1 week waiver, some states don't. So there's all sorts of different regulations based on the state. But in general, under the federal guidelines, are all the same. For example, all the appeals hearings are all run the same. They're actually evaluated by federal guidelines to make sure they're exactly the same. So no matter where you are, all your appeals hearings will have an opening. They'll have direct examination. They'll have cross-examination. They'll have closing. There's due process requirements for the administrative law judge to cite. So all those will be the same.
All right. We have a comment here I've been trying to get through for hours, and it just beeps. I mean, we've heard all sorts of issues going on. We've even heard that sometimes that people have been waiting and it just gets disconnected as they're going to go. Have you heard this one before, Jeff? Is this a complaint that's come across your attention before?
So I'm willing to bet that it's solely due to the fact that the phone lines are just can't handle all the calls now because the PUA that was just implemented on Monday, and then in the last few days, word got out to people that they can go ahead and file. And what we were doing is, under the COVID-19, the stay-at-home order, people were getting laid off over a period of time. They were filing unemployment benefits over a period of time. With the PUA, since March 21st, all these people were eligible for PUA, and they had to wait till May 11th. And I don't know how many yet there are. So all of a sudden, everyone filing for PUA is confused because the system isn't that smooth. And so they're calling in since Monday. So, I feel bad for you because it's, as we talk about, this is money that people need to exist. But you're just going to have to keep trying to call in. Although that being said, if you do have an issue, maybe we can handle it. If it's, like you forgot your password or something like that, you can try to get that changed or corrected online. But, my suggestion is post your question. Maybe we can help you with it. Otherwise, for those that are listening out there, you're just going to have to be persistent and call as much and as many times as you can.
I think that's the excellent advice that we've been given. We've also, Jeff, you had mentioned before that even though the hours typically are 9 to 5, that if you call and it's before 5 and you're on hold, they will answer it after the 5 o'clock hour. That's just something that they've been doing to deal with the backlog that we got some guidance on. Is that gonna continue indefinitely as well, Jeff? That they'll make themselves available like that, or is that one of these things that they've done just to be responsive to the influx so far that could change?
Oh, I don't think that's not going to be forever. The IDS hours and stuff is implemented now because all the local offices are closed. Otherwise, you would be going into a local office and standing in line. So I don't know. I am being told that 7:30 in the morning is when you can first start calling. And I have heard people that said they've called after 5 and they've been put in the queue. So I don't know on the after 5, but I do know if you call as early as 7:30, you might be able to get into the queue, taking advantage of a lot of people aren't waking up that early in the morning. The hours, though, are posted 8:30 to 5. But I can tell you, and I think you might have even seen it, Raza, people are calling it as early as 7:30 and getting in the queue. And, maybe the phone lines are just clear. You get into the queue, and then at 8:30, someone answers. So
that makes perfect sense. And just a quick reminder, this is what we're trying to do as a daily segment to make sure that we get the information out there. Jeff Jacobson's former appeal judge for the IDES. And so he's got an area of breadth of expertise that he's been sharing with us. And we've done this now about 2 weeks. I think we have been daily for 2 weeks. We missed yesterday because of prior commitments that both of us had, but we're going to try to be available to you on a regular basis, daily when we can. Schedule may fluctuate, but I know at least for tomorrow as well, we're back here at 11:30. And if you have any specific questions, you can make sure to ask that in the comment section. As soon as we see it here, we'll get it asked to Jeff. You can also click on the link on the top, and when you do that, you can pop up either with video or audio only and ask the specific specifics of your question to Jeff, so we can make sure to get that out there as well.
Right, and we may. I'm going to be pushing for like a 7 o'clock segment next week because that seems to be a popular time, just to have some flexibility. So, yeah, I think that's basically it. I guess I should point out that right now may be a better situation with the phones than when the local offices were open. I recall the local offices, people would stand in line. They'd get there at 6 a.m, and it would be all day. They were standing in line outside, and with the phone line, the line and the issues is still a problem, but it's, hopefully people take solace in that it's a little more comfortable sitting at your home, and you will get through. I mean, this week is going to be a hard week to get through. So, yeah, hopefully it works out better.
Absolutely. Well, Jeff, it looks like we've been pretty responsive to all the questions we got. We answered quite a few on the Illinois and Indiana unemployment group. So again, thank you for sharing your time with us. And I think you're right. We did take an online poll just to see when more people would be available to ask their questions and dialogue with us. And was it the 7 to 8 o'clock hour that we were finding was when most people prefer to have this? So yeah, it'll either be myself or Sara Sadat, who, if you've watched this for a while, will also host this. And as long as Jeff is here, that's the most important thing. He's the man with the knowledge when it comes to this. And if you are not around to catch any of our live feeds, which, like we said, we do daily, you can also ask questions on the Illinois and Indiana unemployment group, and either Jeff or other people who have gone through the same experience as you will be able to answer and provide guidance, so that resource is always available as well.
Right. And as I now started stressing, if you like the information, my suggestion is go to my Google, do a Google search, go to my site and give a review on Google for me. That's all really I'm asking for. So
that's great. And I will put up how to contact Jeff directly as well. These are good methods also.
Right down there.
Exactly. So Jeff, you were saying if specific questions were not answered, that this was the way to go if they needed to get in touch with you. Is that correct?
Right. I do have people with very complex personal sets of facts. They'll contact us. I'm trying to answer it as quickly as I can. I understand the time's very critical. So, I don't think it's taken me more than a day to get back to most people. Sometimes if you text message me, and so you can text message me at this phone number, sometimes I will need to talk to you personally because some of the information is a little confusing. So, but we're trying to resolve everyone.
Well, it's just like we say on this platform too. You can always ask your questions via comment, and we will get to it as much as we can. But nothing beats dialoguing directly with Jeff and getting the nuances of your questions out there, so Jeff can be very particular in answering those. So these are both methods, along with the group where you can get some answers. So Jeff, thank you again for joining us and talking about this. And we will resume this 11 o'clock tomorrow.
Sounds great. See everyone later. See you, Raza. Tell Sara I said hi.
I sure will. Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay.